Islam in Netherlands. More young converts and people interested in Islam. Mosques in the Netherlands are seeing an increase in the number of young people converting to Islam. Several umbrella organizations and foundations tell NOS stories that this happens to them. Before Corona, an average of 1 to 2 people converted per mosque per month. Now this happens weekly and even more often in the larger cities, says Kenan Aslan of the mosque umbrella organization Islamic Community Milli Goris. 40 mosques across the country are affiliated with that organization. We also see that interest has increased in our convert branch Islam Color, said Aslan. We often receive questions there out of curiosity and registrations for lectures in Dutch. Famous converts. At the same time, messages appear regularly online about famous Dutch people, who are interested in Islam or are becoming Muslims. Fun ex-DJ Vanique Bonique recently converted. Reality star Johnny Hendricks, footballer Davy van den Berg, actor Donnie Rolvink, and model and music artist Blacka also converted to Islam. The mosques that NOS story spoke to say that the religion seems especially attractive to young people. Lara, 21, is one of them. In Islam I have found peace, love, structure and self-reflection, she says. Lara came into contact with Islam through friends. I came over there and we sometimes talked about it. We discussed what we actually live for, something I never thought about before. This is often the case, says anthropologist Vanessa Vrunegem. Because there are more Muslims living in the Netherlands today, there is a greater chance that young people will come into contact with them. Think of a loved one or classmate. Prejudices about Islam can therefore be nuanced, because you can ask questions. Are you also working on some means to you, then Islam can become an option to explore. Things were different for Sinead Zunder, better known as Blacka. He came into trouble with the law a number of times, and ended up in prison for possession of weapons. That period had a lot of impact on me, but mainly in a positive way, he says now. I had a lot of time for myself, wanted to start a new chapter and leave the past behind me. That went together with conversations I had with detainees about Islam. It only made me want to discover more. What was decisive for Lara was the Quran. The book was revealed 1,400 years ago, at a time of limited resources and has never been updated. I believe it contains many miracles, that are being demonstrated today by modern science. Faith also gives her a sense of protection. What is and is not good for you and for what reason? Think of your health, the use of alcohol, for example. It is very clear to me why those guidelines exist. For Blacka, it was also a verse from the Muslim holy book that had an impact on him. I find it complicated to put into words. It immediately touched me, it made me emotional and at the same time extremely calming. That didn't immediately convert me, but it certainly influenced my final choice. Discussion about Islam in politics and society has not deterred Black and Lara from their choice. Anthropologist Vrunegem thinks that negative attention to Islam can also arouse curiosity. In any case, you are aware that Islam is there. This can make you wonder, is the picture that is being painted correct? Warm welcome. Islamic communities are often inviting to people who show interest, says Islamologist Yvonne Moonen. That makes taking a step in that direction easier for non-Muslims. That is recognizable for Lara. I was welcomed very warmly by a mosque I went to. That gave me such a good feeling that I still go there today, she says. This concerned Centrum de Middenweg, a mosque in Rotterdam, where several converts come. Co-founder Jacob van der Blom therefore makes an addition. Everyone is welcome in a mosque. But people should also feel comfortable. Many mosques are designed based on ethnic background. This can lead to people with the same background going there. There is nothing wrong with that, but visiting such a place of worship can increase the threshold for others, he says. For Lara and Blacka, conversion was the best choice of their lives, they say. I want to feel what I feel about Islam forever, Blacka said. And Lara says firmly, "I couldn't have made a better choice and I never will be able to make it again." Donnie Roelvink, a well-known Dutch actor and model, made headlines in April 2024 when he publicly announced his conversion to Islam. Documenting his spiritual journey, he shared the profound moment of reciting the Kalma in a mosque on Instagram. Roelvink said that he was in search of spirituality, after facing many challenges in his life. Roelvink was badly injured during a shoot as a car struck him, and damaged his ribs last year. He was also diagnosed with cancer but healed after complex treatment. Islam is the second largest religion in the Netherlands, after Christianity, and is practiced by 5% of the 18.3 million of population. Many Muslims reside in 4 major cities: Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague or Den Haag, and Utrecht. The early history of Islam in the Netherlands can be traced back to the 16th century, when a small number of Ottoman merchants began settling in the nation's port cities. As a result, improvised mosques were first built in Amsterdam in the early 17th century. But then it was no longer used and changed function after the Ottomans were defeated. In the ensuing centuries, the Netherlands experienced sporadic Muslim immigration from the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia, during their long history of colonialism. From the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire after the First World War until the independence of Indonesia, the Dutch East Indies contained the world's second-largest Muslim population, after British India. However, the number of Muslims in the European territory of the Kingdom of the Netherlands was very low, accounting for less than 0.1% of the population that time. The Netherlands' economic resurgence in the years between 1960 and 1973 motivated the Dutch government to recruit foreign skilled laborers, chiefly from Morocco and Turkey, both majority Muslim countries. Later waves of Muslim immigrants arrived through family reunification and asylum seeking. Small but notable minorities of Muslims also immigrated from the former colonies of Indonesia and Suriname. More than half of the Dutch population, 58%, claim to have no religion. Around 30% claim to be Christian, Catholic and Protestant. The number of Muslims is around 5 to 6%, and the rest are Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist and others. Muslims seem to be much more active in their faith than most other religious people. They generally go to the mosque much more often than Christians go to church. Catholic churches in particular are becoming increasingly empty. Only 6.2% of Catholics go to church once a week. As many as 27% of Muslims go to the mosque at least once a week. The Netherlands has over 450 mosques. The first one was opened in 1955 in The Hague, by the Pakistani community. It took a few years before they were allowed to start building. It took until the 1970s before many more mosques were built. Until then, the increasing number of Islamic guest workers had to pray in converted garages and cramped meeting places. The Netherlands has around 50 Islamic primary schools that pay attention to religion and to the Moroccan or Turkish language and culture. These schools also have more room to apply specific rules of life that some Muslims attach great importance to, for example, that boys and girls have separate gym lessons. In the Netherlands, Christmas, Easter, Ascension Day and Pentecost are official public holidays. These are holidays that stem from the Christian faith. But, Islam's public holidays, such as Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, are not public holidays in the Netherlands. According to a 2018 survey, very large proportions of Turks and Moroccans regard themselves as Muslim, which represented 2/3 of all Muslims in the country. Islam takes a central role for nearly all Somalis, and in many ways their religiosity rose from the 2009 already high levels. Religion has a less important role for Surinamese Muslims. They pray less, visit mosques less frequently and less than a fifth wear the hijab. The growing number of Islam and Muslims in the Netherlands is facing a tough challenge from the right wing who believe in white supremacy. They openly express their anti-Islam stance, because they view Islam as contradictory to Western values. The most famous is politician Geert Wilders from the Party for Freedom, PVV. Wilders and his party demand ban on Quran, tax the hijab, shut down all mosques in the Netherlands, and disallowing further immigration of Muslims to the country. In the 2023 general election, it became the largest party in the House of Representatives. After the election, it entered government for the first time as part of the Dick Schoof cabinet. But interestingly, as hatred towards Islam increased, two right-wing politicians, former allies of Geert Wilders, Arnoud van Doorn and Joram Jaren van Klaveren, finally chose to convert to Islam. Arnoud van Doorn announced his conversion to Islam in April 2012. And Joram Jaren van Klaveren, a member of parliament, 2010 to 2014, was converted to Islam halfway through writing an anti-Islam book in October 2018.